Is it a retrospective of a certain number of years, or
No, it's
it's all newer kind of?
it's really work of the last couple of years. Well, I first met Jay as a student at the Ontario College of Art. I was teaching a course there, and he was a student. And that was that's going on 20 years ago now, I guess. And then that was around the time I was first got some work in the film industry, and so Jay started working for the same company. Since then, Jay has moved on to the medical industry, so he does prosthetics for the medical industry. And he's very highly regarded in that field, but I'm just still very fortunate that he'll come in and help me every once in a while. The technology was probably introduced initially through the medical industry, but then the film industry also really picked up on it. And I was lucky enough to work with a company here in Toronto for a number of years. It was really one of the early researchers with silicone technology, so we really got in on it at ground level. I think being in mainstream Hollywood film industry for that period of time kind of put me in popular culture. I think in a way that's been hugely informative, and as much as uncomfortable as I was in it, I think I've been hugely, I think, rewarded by it. I've grown through that. I think it's forced me to open up in ways that I probably wouldn't have. And it's exposed me to materials like silicones, which really are slice of life illusion capable materials. And I've never been interested in illusion. I've been interested in representation. So here now I have to engage this sort of the boogeyman, if you wish, of illusion and take it on in the film industry. Because that's really what the film industry is about, is they don't want this to be a representation of the real. They want it to be real. They don't want you to know that this is not real. So it really is about illusion, which is a very different idea. When you distort, you implicitly are making a monster. And it may not be your primary interest. You may not be going for it and really exploring that territory for its own sake. But you have to know it's there. And I guess I play off of that. I'm aware that we have very little tolerance for a distortion of our own bodies. But I think the bottom line, we're also very anxious about our mortality. I think it's probably hardwired, it's instinctive. So any distortion, especially if it's three-dimensional, it becomes part of the topic. So there it is. It's always a good moment. You never quite know what you're going to get. It's different every time. And sort of based on this, it'll give me a good idea where I want to go with the rest of the development of the piece. I wonder where those ears are. Okay. So these are the elongated eyes for the stretch piece we're working on. These are the ones I end up painting and working on to produce the final eyes. Early on, it freaked me out when the sculptures did things I didn't intend them to do. I thought I had control. And you'd think if it's a highly technical process that's sort of what it's all about, control, right? And when you realize that the realer it gets, it kind of flips into another world. And so you have to be willing to go with that. In fact, that's the interest. That control actually takes you to this wild place, not to this tame place, is what interests me. They've been curing overnight, but I think their plastic is hard enough. comes out. This flashing just gets cut off. And then that eye gets put in. It's not going to fit quite perfectly because I have to grind it down a bit, but it'll even give some idea. There you go. Makes a big difference.